Hey, this is John Hope-Bryant, and I'm the founder, chairman, and chief executive officer of Operation Hope. And I'm so glad to welcome you to the Hope Global Financial Dignity Summit. It's happening November 13th and 14th here in Atlanta, Georgia. It's being co-hosted by Operation Hope and Mayor-Kasim-Reed and the city of Atlanta. It's being co-chaired by Ambassador Andrew Young and myself, with honorary co-chairs that include Dr. Bernice A. King, President of the Federal Reserve, Dennis Lockhart of Atlanta, President of the Federal Reserve Bank of Kansas City, Esther George, Sean Cleary, an internationally recognized businessman, and other notable leaders. We have over 130 incredible speakers already confirmed, and the keynote, I'm proud to say, not to be announced until later in the week, is the CEO of the New York Stock Exchange, Duncan Niederauer, as well as other incredible presenters, including Soledad O'Brien, which most people know from CNN and now Al Jazeera. But the larger issue is why would we hold such a summit? Why bring the Deputy Central Banker from Brazil and the Deputy Central Banker from Nigeria and folks from Asia and Latin America and Africa and Europe and North America and the Middle East? Why bring Asian leaders and Western leaders together for this issue of financial literacy? Because it's not the issue of financial literacy. It's the issue of the uplift of all of God's children. It is the issue of the continuation of Dr. King's dream, really, the third dimension of his work, which was yet uncompleted at his death. Dr. King's mission was to redeem the soul of America from the triple evils of war, racism, and poverty. It wasn't about black people. It wasn't about helping black people. He fundamentally believed that by helping all people, it made America better, and that anybody left behind made America worse. Such is the case today if you're talking about women anywhere in the world. You cannot have a leading nation that represses women. Put the moral issues aside. Put issues of fairness aside. Those issues are, of course, front and center and critically important and relevant. But put them aside for the moment and just say, if you're the leader of a nation and you want to be one of the top 10, top 20, top 50 leaders in the world, that you're a nation, you literally cannot do it if you're repressing women. It's just not possible. There isn't a top 10 or top 20 or top 50 country in the world that represses women. It just is impossible. If I have 100 million people and I've got everybody with their shoulder against the wheel trying to make that nation better, and you've got 100 million people, but 50 million of those people, women, you've got your foot on their head and holding them back, treating them like second-class citizens, I'm going to do better than you simply because I've got more economic energy focused on the problem. This is just but one example of the dignity, the financial dignity that's embedded in the spirit of human dignity. And where all of these issues come together at one place once a year in Atlanta, Georgia, for the Hope Global Financial Dignity Summit. That when you get people a chance to lift themselves up, you give them an opportunity to include themselves in the new definition of freedom, self-determination. When all boats rise, all nations prosper. This nation, America, succeeds, fulfills her destiny, and can be the GDP leader in the world. But if you have a lot of poor people and disconnected people and frustrated people, you're going to have lack of GDP, lack of jobs, lack of opportunity. You're going to have instability in your democracy, and ultimately you're going to have social unrest. So this is the underpinning for the moral underpinning for this movement in this meeting that we bring together every year. But why not join another meeting? Why not? What's the point of doing yet another conference, even with the points I've made to you? Well, that's a good question. I'd argue that the rich and the powerful collect themselves in a place called Davos in Switzerland, and it's a very important meeting. I would go every year when I was a young global leader and was proud of going and proud of my association when I went. It's a great gathering. But by this very nature, it is a gathering of the rich and the powerful and the elite. Those who are in power is the very nature of the meeting. That's not a criticism, that's an is. And then you got places like Jackson Hole in Wyoming, where the Federal Reserve brings together what some might argue the super rich. It's the Federal Reserve Bank governors and so on and so forth. There's also a lot of investors and leaders, the Warren Buffetts of the world, if you will, who some might refer to as the super rich. They also care. But, you know, your perspective of the world is colored by your view of the world and where you sit and where you come from. It's at least impacted by that. We wanted to create a meeting that the average extraordinary individual who considers themselves a leader could come together with the most powerful, the most influential C-suite leaders in the world for a vision to make America better, to make the world better, to uplift and empower the poor. It's not about a handout, it's about a hand up. So we positioned this meeting intentionally after the Clinton Global Initiatives meeting, which I'm also proud to be a founding member in September. It happens in September in New York, my friend President Bill Clinton. And right before, in November, right before people transition to the new year to go to the meeting in Davos, Switzerland for the World Economic Forum. And it is a meeting that has one agenda and one agenda only, to empower and uplift the poor, the working class, and the struggling middle class. Why the struggling middle class? Because today, even if you are middle class, you feel poor. You feel like you got too much month at the end of your money. Middle class used to be one parent working and one parent stayed home to raise the children, maybe even as a domestic engineer. Today, middle class is increasingly two parents working. Society and the streets are often helping to raise your children because you're just not there, and you don't at least feel like you're making any more money. That you don't feel like you're prospering. You don't feel that you're moving ahead in your life, and so for the first time in a long time, the working poor, the struggling class, and the struggling middle class feel like they're all in this thing together. And so then why the tagline, how the poor can help save capitalism? I'm going to argue that they always have saved capitalism. I'm not going to tell too much. I'm not going to make this video too long, but that will be unfolded at this summit and every summit to come. It's in my book that will come out next year, that the poor are not to be pitied. The struggling class and the working class are not to be dismissed. They are the root, the core, the backbone, the strength, the very strength of this nation, and could be the strength for nations around the world if they are respected, regarded, and given the tools to contribute to this great and other great societies. We are just simply not viewing this population as the emerging market that they are, with the potential that they possess and with the contribution that they can make. And we want to change that reality. We will do that at the Hope Global Financial Dignity Summit. We'll come with ideas that move to action. We'll help Clinton Global Initiatives to gather commitments for everybody from block club captains to nonprofits to Fortune 1000 to Fortune 500 companies who want to do something to empower the poor. And then finally, we'll outline our own plan, Operation Hope that is, to help to put our own shoulder against the wheel in that regard. Join us either in person or online at the Hope Global Financial Dignity Summit so we can help change the world.